I just want to make one prediction for this video, though. I'll do it for both. In talking about comparing the Nazis to Hamas, Israel is committing genocide. That will come up. And also, if you were going to call anyone Nazis here, it would be Israel / the IDF. At some point, these two things will come up. Guaranteed. 1,000,000,000%. But let's listen. Maybe not.
Man, it is hard to listen to. Like the stuff he's saying, the analysis is so incredibly simplistic. And I don't mean that in a positive way. It is.
That's too easy to make a third prediction. We've got Israel's committing genocide. If you're going to call anyone Nazis here, it would be Israel / the IDF. What's the third prediction? I don't know. Israel is even worse since we are supporting them. / we didn't support Nazi Germany. I don't know. That's a third guess. Weaker one. Let's try it.
It's ironic because he would accuse others of being like morally blind or morally confused. I think he is the height of moral confusion. So here he is. He's going to make quite a claim here about Hamas. And of course, the Nazis get dragged into it. Listen to this.
Overwhelming majority of people who are this confused about how to live good lives are Islamic extremists. And the worst of these are jihadists. Now, Hamas is a jihadist organization.
Right off the bat here, that's not really the full picture, is it, Sam? It's not enough to just say, well, Hamas are jihadists, full stop. Like, that is purposefully leaving out a lot of nuance and complexity and detail, right?
No shot. We're not going to go on actually a dumber route. No shot are we going to go the route of like, well, Hamas is the way they are because of Israel. That's not, there's no way we're going that route. We're going to add complexity and degrees of nuance to Hamas? Is that what we're doing right now? No. No. Oh boy. He wasn't going to go down this path. He wasn't.
Bad here, that's not really the full picture, is it, Sam? It's not enough to just say, well, Hamas are jihadists, full stop. Like, that is purposefully leaving out a lot of nuance and complexity and detail, right? We're clear on that, right? Like an actual jihadist organization, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, their goal is global caliphate. That's their goal. That is not Hamas's goal.
When you believe as strongly, oh God, this is so fucking retarded. Holy shit. Or I'm retarded. If you believed in the concept of jihad and the expansion of the caliphate and the, we should just do like a study of, if you have the beliefs that Hamas is talking about, the goal is essentially to have a global caliphate, right? If you're an Islamist organization and you believe fundamentally in a lot of the things that they talk about in their charter, is it the Ummah? Isn't this supposed to essentially become like the whole religion of the world is the goal? Like all the other religions are unbelievers or enemies of Islam and don't share the same belief, no? I'm not saying that all Muslims believe this, but I'm saying that if you believe like in this very fundamentalist version of Islam, then I think it's kind of part and parcel of it. Ummah is just a reference to all believers. Yeah, that's right. No, maybe. Isn't the Ummah supposed to refer to like all, like the collective? It's not just like all the individual people. It's like a collective, not like country or something else of all the like the body of all the Muslims or something. But
they want Palestine to be a country, and they want it to be governed by Islamic law. That's true. But they don't have global ambitions.
I just don't think this is correct. I think that anybody that has, like ISIS, I believe, or Al-Qaeda, like all of these like Islamist, not every Islamist government, I keep saying Islamist, but people of the, I mean, what sets you apart in this? And just reading the charter, I guess, it seems like pretty obvious that you have like these global, we should just do a religious research stream. Jihadism. Can't you use jihadism for local stuff and not necessarily have like a global objective if you're a jihadist?
In the same way, like, you know, like the Houthis, for example, putting them on the terror list, it was preposterous because they're not going to do terror attacks against the West because they're trying to form a global caliphate. That's not what they do. They're not like ISIS. They're not like Al-Qaeda. He's purposefully glossing over.
Well, the Houthis are a lot different. I don't know why we'd use the Houthis in the same sentence, but terrorist attacks don't have to just be against the West. They can be against things that are from the West, like shipping vessels. Like the Houthis have already done terrorist attacks. So if anything, it makes perfect sense to put the Houthis on the terrorist list because they literally are already doing terrorisms. Like
West, because they're trying to form a global caliphate. That's not what they do. They're not like ISIS. They're not like Al-Qaeda. He's purposefully glossing over very real differences, right? But again, follow the thread here. Follow the thread because he says, Islamic extremists are morally confused, but the worst of them are jihadists. And he says Hamas is a jihadist organization. That's what he says. Now wait until you hear the rest.
In my view, that's all we need to know about it. The question of how it got that way
That's hilarious, buddy. That's all we need to know. Don't look any deeper. Don't look any deeper. That's it. That's it.
is fundamentally uninteresting, as is the question of why so many Palestinians have come to support it.
Yeah, gee, I wonder. I wonder why Palestinians would support their militant hardliners. Tough one to figure out. I'm sure it couldn't be that Palestinian babies are getting carpet bombed on a daily basis and Israel is bombing hospitals and schools and churches and mosques and...
I have to, hold on. I think that if you're going to comment, I don't even know if I'm 100% fully, because I haven't read the full charter. We just skimmed through some of it here. I don't think that we should be commenting on this. I don't think he has any idea what any of what he's talking about is. I don't know why he is like venturing such a confident opinion out in this area. Like, oh, Hamas, an Islamic extremist organization that draws from the Quran and has many characteristics similar with other Islamic extremist organizations that also draw from the Quran in ways that call for, global jihad and supporting the global jihadist network to fight against the enemies of Islam. Well, that's actually just because Israel carpet bombed Palestine, ignoring the fact that the charter that he's sourcing was done in the 80s. When was that initial charter for Hamas? 1988.
Palestinian babies are getting carpet bombed on a daily basis, and Israel is bombing hospitals and schools and churches and mosques and markets.
Was that happening? And was Israel carpet bombing the Gaza Strip in the 70s and 80s? Is that
places and factories and houses and all sorts of civilian infrastructure? Couldn't be that when you get barbaric, savage, hardline, far-right policies from their enemy, that they run into the arms of their hard-right, barbaric, savage, hardliners on their side. Can't be that, right? Can't be a perfectly natural reaction that everybody has. Like after 9.
I also don't like I hate the equivalence. Like, bro, we can talk about issues between Israel and how they conduct war. That's totally valid. But where is this weird desire? I don't understand the desire to get on your knees and give the sloppiest top that you can ever possibly muster to fundamentalist Islam. Like, why not just say this is a dog ideology? Like, if you had to choose between a group, a nation, between one or the other, Israel is a better country in every way, size, shape, and form than the best country that the Palestinians could put together. We can say that as Westerners. That's fine. We can also say that doesn't give you the right to blow up other countries, and we should still respect the autonomy of other countries, blah, blah, blah. But this cringy false equivalence, it reminds me of the white people in Seattle that bend down and kiss the boots and knees of Black Panthers or BLM people. It's so cringe and self-hating. Please, brother, please move to even Saudi Arabia. Move to any of these countries. Move to any Muslim majority country. Or if you're really brave, go to a place like Somalia, or go to Egypt even, or go to to Libya or Morocco, Tunisia. Go to one of these countries and live there, and then do the same type of stuff you do, and be as critical of those governments there as you are here. Keep that same energy. And I'm not even trying to say that if you don't like it, leave. I'm just saying that we don't have to pretend that both sides are the same here. We don't have to do that. We don't have to do that. You don't have to say that both sides are the same to criticize both sides. I think that you can easily criticize the IDF for making mistakes or even having committed war crimes or whatever. You can do that. That's totally fine. That doesn't mean that they're the same as Hamas.
Hardliners on their side. Can't be that, right? Can't be a perfectly natural reaction that everybody had. Like after 9/11, when the U.S. got attacked and George W. Bush's approval rating was fucking 90%. Turns out violence begets violence. Turns out hard-right politics begets hard-right politics from the other side. That's what happened. Oh my God. I haven't even gotten to the big part yet. Sorry, I'm getting way too triggered. Here, let's keep going. Follow the thread. Hamas is jihadist and...
As is the question of why so many Palestinians have come to support it. It would be like asking in 1941 how the SS became so radicalized. And why did so many millions of Germans support it? That's an interesting question now, right now that Nazism has been defeated. But in 1941, there was nothing to do but kill Nazis. I feel exactly the same way about jihadists. In fact, jihadists are worse than Nazis, in my view. They don't have the same power the Nazis had in the 30s and 40s, which is a very good thing, and we should keep it that way. But their ideology is actually worse. Jihadism is essentially Nazism plus an expectation of paradise. It's Nazism plus religious fanaticism. Nazism plus an eagerness to be martyred and to see their children martyred.
He has a point that Sam Harris was stupid to say it doesn't matter why Hamas came to be, but he goes too far in justifying them. No. Sam Harris is right there, actually. It doesn't really matter. In the broadest of senses, it doesn't matter how things came to be. That's the equivalent statement to when I said, the history actually doesn't matter between Israel and Palestine, because what you really have is a group of people and you've got to solve their issues now. The history is not really that relevant in a way, right? What happened in 1948? Who the cares. Like the people now need to solve their problems now. You know, what happened in 67, what happened in these wars, it doesn't really matter. You've got people now needing to solve the problems now. And we can't all keep crying about what happened 50 or 100 years ago in order to make ourselves feel better about the current state of things, right? It's a tad reductionist to say that, but that's essentially what Sam Harris is saying. Sam Harris is saying like, okay, well in the 50s, 60s, 70s, it's good to look back and try to understand like why did the Nazis do what they do, but like or did what they did, but like in the 40s, for World War II, that probably wasn't the right time to stop and figure out like, well, hold on, well, why do the Nazis want to take over all of Europe and genocide all these people, right? It's just not the right time to do it, and that's not the right approach. They need to be defeated regardless.
There are many differences between Nazism and jihadism, of course, but they only make the Nazis look comparatively benign.
Hamas are jihadists, and jihadism makes Nazism look, what do you say, relatively benign was the phrasing? Let me hear it again.
There are many differences between Nazism and jihadism, of course, but they only make the Nazis look comparatively benign.
Comparatively benign. Nazis are comparatively benign to Hamas. Sam, do you have any thoughts on 41,496 Palestinians being killed by Israel?
Oh my God. And then it's just like the numbers. Oh, kill me.
37,676 of them being civilians, far over 90% civilian death rate. By the way, Hamas had a lower civilian death rate. They killed, depending on which numbers you believe, anywhere between 55% and 70% civilians.
And this, ladies and gentlemen, is why just looking at the numbers doesn't matter. For Hamas's surprise attacks, because they had the ability to choose their targets, because they were attacking by surprise, because the IDF was relatively unprepared to respond, the fact that they destroyed an entire outdoor festival's worth of civilians and murdered everybody there, that's not like what's like the percentage of like civilians to militants that got killed? Oh, well, actually the percentage for the Hamas killed wasn't even that bad either. It was like 30, 40%, right? That's not too bad, right? No. That's not how that works. This is why like the raw numbers analysis here is like so stupid.